Welcome everyone. This is your host and those founder and CEO AeroBay program, Neha Chauhan. And today in this very special episode of the AeroBay podcast, we have a very special guest. He's a very important person, a very important figure in the world of education. And I promise you, today podcast, you're going to learn so many different parts related to education, different technology, how exactly, if you're still confused and figuring it out, where exactly you can go and stand and find that right career options. I think this podcast is for you. Welcome Abhishek Bagchi sir, as the principal of one of the biggest group, the Presidency Group, and it's my honor to have you here with us today. I'm feeling really happy. Thank you for taking the time out. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I have seen your work, your company, what they are doing. It's like an amazing concept. And I'm sure that these kind of efforts, like that you're putting in will actually radically influence the education sector.
Right.
So yes, I'm delighted and I'm really privileged and honored to actually having a conversation with you.
No, thank you so much, sir. Sir, to begin with, how are you feeling in Goa? How's your day coming along? I know it must be very busy and hectic.
I know it's a very busy time now because we have come for a conference and there is little scope of going out and enjoying Goa. I've come only for 2 days, so I don't think that I'll be able to explore
much
in that way. But Goa is like I've come multiple times. And, it's like a fantastic place. We all know, we don't have to say anything. Except for Goa, specifically the food and the sea, and there is much to explore. Like in Goa, Goa is not only limited to your beach and shacks and everything.
Not just the party place.
Not the party place. There's much to explore. There are fantastic museums. There are fantastic village life.
Right.
So I think the tribal part of the growth of Goa is like, I think I would rather whoever coming to Goa, I suggest them to go and visit those places, mainly the South Goa part, and go and look into the villages, the mountainous and those places, and they should be visiting there.
Right, enjoying the greenery and the whole
and the history.
And the history, that is very important. Sir, because you are in the world of education from such a long period of time and you've changed many states and cities and so I feel it's a very challenging role, because then there is one side, parents and students, who obviously look up to you because you play a very important role in all of our life in shaping our careers and future. Yet you have to be in a very good business mindset also, because you have to you're running a big brand, right? So you have to make sure the quality and the delivery and service of it also doesn't go bad. Is it difficult? Like, how do you maintain that work-life balance? And also, second question to that, is there any secret to your success?
Okay. So nicely said. Like it's a very challenging role, no doubt in it. But like challenge is a comfort zone. Like that's my motto, and I've kept it in my WhatsApp status. Challenge is a comfort zone. And I started my career as a programmer. I was a hardcore IT person working with IBM and mainframe systems and everything. So definitely the biggest challenge I think educators face in the initial stages when they want to actually become an educator.
Right.
I always wanted to become an educator. That's why I became an educator. Is like the differences of income that starts, like that's I think the biggest challenge. And if you say that what was difficult, that was difficult.
Right.
Difficult to actually convince yourself, and if you have any family influence in that, to convince the people around you. It was not similar in my case, but I'm just in general I'm telling. It is difficult for people to understand that why are you taking this step, because your income and everything is going down like anything. So that is a challenge, no doubt in it. But as you said, like to play a multiple role as an educator, that whether you are a negotiator, you are kind of a teacher, you are an entrepreneur, like you are looking at the budget of the school, you're trying to balance it, you're an HR person. So all kinds of role that you need to play, and an administrator also. So I think that is the fun, and that's one of the reason maybe like I'm still in this profession in spite of like having multiple profession I tested, like I've been to multiple professions.
Right.
But this is a profession I got stuck from the last 20 years.
Right.
Majorly because of this challenge factor, right? Like, and that is so interesting and engaging that.
Right.
And you asked me about the work-life balance.
Yes.
When this becomes your life, then that's the balance, right?
Yes,
there is no work
so it's
life.
Like you find your balance.
Exactly. So, and I think the biggest incentive is the wonder. That's the biggest incentive. Like, you are always learning.
Right.
So you, even at the age of like 50s, like you are keeping that wonder intact. And,
right.
And that majorly happens because you are daily interacting with kids, with children, and from the children, you're getting that energy back, right? So I think that's the major incentive in this profession, that when you are talking to the children, when you're knowing new things and that wonder, you are keeping it intact. I think that's immense possibility of an unknown which is in front of you, and you are, equipped with that kind of knowledge that in every day you are trying to understand. And dealing with organic life forms, it's not a kind of, it's not a factory, right? It's not a manufacturing unit. So you're dealing with organic matter. So it's the closest that you can come. I always say the educators are the closest that you can come with farming, So educators are entrepreneurs as well as farmers, so they have to take care of the crops, and all crops have got the different criteria of growth, just like we talk about differentiation in our education terminology.
Right.
Similarly, a farmer knows that what crop has to be treated in which way and what kind of, precautions and measures they have to take. So yes, and you're talking about the secret. There is no secret.
There's no secret sauce recipe.
There's no secret sauce recipe. If you have that energy and that interest, that passion to know and keep knowing, keep learning, I think this is the best profession for you. The reason behind, I've shifted from various profession. I was a good coder. I was coding, with the US companies and everything. So why I shifted, because that was still a one-dimensional thing. I was like looking at a company. I was doing automation.
Like a repetitive work.
Kind of, right? But in our times, and I'm talking about 1990s, like in those days, it was not as repetitive as it has become now. Yeah. The IT, but still, it had a limitation. It was a very one-dimensional. Here, it's a very dynamic environment. Like tomorrow, I can get a very interesting case. It always happens to an educator. Like we come up with very interesting questions from the students and everything. Yes, that is the secret.
Right.
That is a secret sauce, that if you have that energy to learn, and so you'll enjoy this profession, and not only enjoy, you'll be stuck into it. Like that's what has happened to me. Once I joined this, in spite of a lot of doubts, because I was not aiming to join and stay in this profession for a long time. It was the whole career to me was like a buffet system. I was like testing everything on my way, and suddenly when I tasted this, somehow I got stuck here. Like I'm still here.
Sir, I feel you are the perfect example, because normally people try to run away from education, right? Being an educator. So you are the perfect example, which I always tell that so many school principal and director, when I meet them, they say younger generation, they don't want to come into they want to have their own things, which is okay. But we need more people like you. You have the corporate experience. You were a coder. You know technology. Now you know how the education thing works.
I had two companies of my own. I formed two companies.
Yeah. So I think that is the most powerful combination to have. That is brilliant.
So as I said, like it's right that people don't want to come to education. It's if some principals are saying that, it's absolutely right. You go into a crowd and ask them like, how many of you want to become an educator? You will not find hands going up. The reason behind, I told you, like that's the biggest challenge. Like the inequality of the the returns that they get.
Right.
And you know what? Like it's not only about the money. It's also the social status they carry.
Yes.
We say that teachers and educators are well respected, but that respect is confined towards that, towards that school, that boundary. In social status, if you talk about, I don't think they are that much respected. It's a kind of myth.
Right.
Look at any family structure.
Right.
I don't think that if you have a daughter-in-law who is like a teacher, or maybe another daughter-in-law working in an IT firm or any kind of obviously you will have a different attitude towards both.
Right.
Which is very unfortunate, because the amount of work a teacher is doing is incredible. Right. They are the true superpowers. Like we are just, trying to make things happen, but they are the true superpowers each and every day. And dealing with so many dynamic and so much of dynamic environment.
Right.
It's like hats off to them. And the why it's hats off to them. It's not only they're doing some incredible job, but they're doing incredible job. In return, it's almost a thankless job, right? So that is why I think it's something that we should be talking more about it.
Right. No, absolutely. We need to talk more about these pointers. Sir, now talking about, and this subject is very close to my heart, entrepreneurship, right? How important you feel that there is a need to add those entrepreneurial skill into our younger generation? Because, so I'm a first generation entrepreneur. I grew up watching Shark Tank, and when Shark Tank came to India, it was like my dream come true. I went to Shark Tank. I got to meet, Ashneer and Piyush and
nice.
all of those
Wonderful.
people. And it was like, if I would have seen Shah Rukh Khan or Ashneer,
Exactly.
I mean, there was no comparison, it was like a whole different, I was in awe. Before that, when I told anyone, especially my parents or, the closest relatives or even my friends who were back in London, I told them, I want to start something related to education and technology, related to experiential learning. And basically, I want to become an entrepreneur. So my first instinct, they were like, oh, so you want to be jobless, right? So you don't want to work, right? So why there's such a bad stigma, sir, around it? Like, if you're successful, then everybody is behind you. Yes, obviously. But, a child, and there's no age for it. Ritesh Agarwal, he never even went to college, right? And he started the whole Oyo thing. So it's like, why people are still very hesitant about this domain. We talk a lot about entrepreneurial skill, but when my child is ready to leave the job to start something out of nowhere, might not give that kind of support to them.
I agree completely, and I think there are a few reasons behind it. It's not one answer. Right. One, maybe that our ecosystem is not that favorable to actually start a business, and never ever underestimate the wisdom of your parents. Like, when you become a parent and you will have your own kids, and you will be thinking twice, thrice, to help your child take a decision, because the ecosystem is still not as favorable as some other countries maybe.
Right.
That's one of the reasons.
Right.
And second, our education system is very much success driven rather than failures.
Right.
We don't support failures, and we have not created our examination system and everything. So unless we create a full circle of learning system from the failures, this taboo is going to be there, because if you look at the ratio of new entrepreneurs, if whether forget about unicorns, even the startups that are happening. I mean, I'm from Bangalore now, so the amount of so many students, they're into startups. Like my students, like I have taught them in the class, like they are now have their own startups.
Right.
But at the same time, if you look at the ratio and how many failures are happening, it's incredible.
It's very high.
It's very high. It's very, very high. So there comes the actual testing time, what is your tenacity? There is no such mechanism in our education system to increase that tenacity of a student.
Absolutely.
So the moment you're a failure, you get tagged, you become a low achiever, you go to a remedial class.
Yeah.
So how to build the tenacity of a student like that?
Right.
These are the things that we educators are talking now.
Right.
Because once you develop that, so I already told you one reason is like the real ecosystem is still not ready. Number one, it is better than before, no doubt in it. But a long way to go still. Second, our educational system is not supporting failure that much, and we are not created a learning environment from the failure itself.
Right.
And third, there is a tendency, there is a social structure, and that is a byproduct of the other two.
Right.
The social structure where you give more importance to, and it is like even related to marriage and everything.
Yes.
Related to, if you have got a so-called stable job and a stable income, and you are, like a government employee or XYZ, and that gives you certain kind of, like leverage in the whole society, right?
Right.
So these three things together, and there can be other, like smaller things maybe which are related to these things, but majorly these are, major factors,
right,
which is creating this. But things are changing. People are taking risks.
Right.
It's and people will take risk if you have got that mindset of, if you have got a tenacity to handle the failures, like it's important to do that.
Right.
Nowadays, like I see, like even my students, like it's very unfortunate. Like even they are rejected in an interview, they get so dejected. And come on, please, you can, and it's better even. And this is like, it's always a two-way street, right?
Right.
Even you will feel that in an interview, the HR, you have done the interview and everything, people don't get back.
They don't get
give
back.
them the feedback, right?
Yes.
If you're not selected, you're not selected. X, Y, Z. Okay. And better if you can give a straight feedback to that person.
And feedbacks are important.
It's very important.
Very important.
It's very important. So many a times it happens, they go silent.
Right.
And then, you have to ask that person, like, what has happened to my interview? Like, what is the result and everything? And then maybe after 1 month or 2 months, you tell them that, okay, you're not the person who is selected. So we have not yet created a right environment where
that
the
ecosystem
learning
is
can
still
Exactly.
missing.
So this whole, process, as you said, is like preventing the, and that is resulting in a wrong mindset development, throughout. Right. So, yes.
Sir, is this the reason which you are mentioning that people today, even though we say young India and India is progressing so much, still they want to run abroad and say कि like Canada settle ho jate hain.
That's an easy thing to do, right? Please understand, that's always an easy thing. Like I walked abroad already. So I found working abroad and in all ways, in every way, all aspects, it was a better work environment.
Yes.
I was much happier. I was earning more, no doubt in it. I was earning more. It was a better environment, comfort, X, Y, Z. Everything was easy, right? So why not? You cannot force. You cannot say that someone like why they have got every right to choose their own thing,
Right.
But at the same time, entrepreneurship or building your own unit, that which you are doing, hats off to you, that takes the real courage and that takes the real, grit, I would say, and fighting with it and doing something, and that will contribute to the society back, right? So that's most important. You are contributing back to the society. How many of us who are working actually contributing back to the society?
Right.
It is our responsibility, right?
Right.
To contribute back.
Giving back is important.
It's very important. Whichever way, own way, you should always try to contribute back. Yes. That's what you're doing. Like the organization that I'm in, it's 48 years old. Like they're say you can imagine almost 50 years they're giving back to the society. Look at the contribution,
Right.
So they have got multiple schools, they have got universities, colleges. So they are giving back to. So these things are important. It's not only education, even how you are. And imagine more than 30,000 students can come out. They have got 30,000 students. So these students are actually, in some way contributing to the society. So it's very important to give them that conducive environment. Even in schools nowadays, August 2nd week, I've got entrepreneurship week in my school. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I myself teach them design thinking.
Right.
They take up real life problems.
Right.
And they come up with the solutions. I've done this in my previous schools also. And I invite my friends who are in, the entrepreneurs.
Right.
They come and judge our students, and they get so excited, they say that, okay, I can make a new product maybe,
Right.
So.
No, absolutely, sir. That's a great initiative. And no wonder that people have so much respect for presidency. I mean, there are so many schools and all of those there, but when the name comes, it comes with that, not only in terms of a brand value, but also very big group which can actually contribute back to the society. Right. And the children can come out learning a lot in a different aspect of life.
And you know what, a school, any school group with legacy, they already have the legacy. Now they can build all the cutting edge stuff over it. Anything new coming up, artificial intelligence. My research topic was artificial intelligence.
Right.
So that's the reason, maybe, they wanted me in their group. So now they can, if they create, some kind of, lab with modern techniques and problem solving techniques and actually change the mindset of the students, like problem solving mindset. They can afford to do that. But in the new age schools cannot get that legacy. They are already sitting with a legacy.
Right.
So a legacy school can become a modern school.
Yes.
But a modern school cannot create legacy.
Create. So there's a two
exactly. So that's a big advantage they are having.
Exactly.
Process, right?
So because you have done so much in AI, very important question. Do you think AI is going to take our jobs?
AI will take your jobs.
Yes.
See, we can't deny that AI will not take the jobs. AI will definitely take the jobs. But again, at the same time, new jobs will be coming up. So it's a half sentence if we say that AI will take the jobs. So AI will take the jobs and new type of jobs. It always happened in the history of mankind. You have seen, when machines came, and thanks to our, invention of steam powered machines, that's actually took the jobs. It took jobs like anything. And if you look at the history. And a new kind of jobs came up, we are not even thinking about those different engineering field which came up along with those machines came up, mechanical engineering and everything. So then electronics came up. It was a boom. Then electronics, IT, XYZ. So new jobs came up. Right. So new jobs will crop up. But the job that you're talking about now at presently, maybe those jobs will, not maybe, those jobs will perish.
These will go, but new opportunities will come.
New opportunities come up. Even the teachers, because like you usually don't talk about education. That's the least talked about. Like even that area, even teachers, people say that, okay, teacher's job will never go. It's a human to human interaction. Absolutely wrong. Even that will be, it will get transformed. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that teachers will lose their job, but it's going to be transformed. So you don't require a teacher to just go and deliver a lesson in the classroom. Because that is going to be, look at the scope that, these technologies are giving you. So yes, teacher will be not replaced by a bot, but you will not require a teacher to take maybe 32 class in a week.
Exactly.
The teacher can reduce that class into say 15 and the other 15 classes can be taken by a bot, which is an assistant of a teacher.
So it'll be an assistant of teacher, not
an assistant of a teacher.
Exactly.
So it will be an extension of what the teacher wants to do. Maybe it can be a differentiated lesson. It can be a remedial, which is difficult for a teacher to do when there are 40 students sitting in a classroom. That's a limitation of a physical space. So there where the hybrid learning will come up.
No, definitely, sir. These are few of the very important pointers which we look into. Sir, for the 20-year-old child who's watching you today, what advice would you like to give them to have that happy, fulfilling life? And if they're still confused, what to go about, how to go about in their life?
It's a very deep question you asked. Like when you bring happiness, the happiness that we portray in media, in our daily life is a tremendously overrated thing. Like the research has been, it's a very longitudinal one. The research took place in more than 40 years. Harvard University has done that research. The research says that the most important, factor for happiness is relationship, so, and it's a kind of proven thing, now. So 20 years listening to me, take care of your relationship, which is actually in my language, in our language, is social emotional part of it. So you need to take care of that first, like no matter what happens, your family, the people whom you love are the most important thing in your life. So please take care of that, because that will give you the peace, So give importance to peace, give importance to the understanding of the social emotional aspect. And if you talk about your own emotion, your own benefit, your own well-being, take care of this wonder part, because the moment you stop learning, the moment you stop wondering, your life will be miserable. Trust me, and if you can keep this fire, intact, then no matter what happens, you can go through a lot of, bad phases in your life, but this fire will keep you alive. This wonder will always keep you alive, and that will, drive you, that will keep you engaged all the time. So yes, relationship and this wonder.
Relationship and wonder, guys. Keep this thing into your mind.
And everything else will follow. Please understand, we run for money, we run for wealth. This is the biggest wealth, everything else will follow. And by relationship, I'm not saying that you need to have, a close family all the time. That's also good, but relationship can be with anyone, but that you should value that. You should give importance to that. If that relationship is even for maybe one day, maybe for maybe 1 month, you should give that respect and if that connection is there,
people should connect with each other more, I feel. Otherwise,
it comes from empathy. It comes from empathy. It comes from compassion. So please realize that. Talk to your mentors. You must have mentors in your life all the time, because these are the people who actually always help you. The reason why I'm a great fan of sports is no matter how big sportsman you are, you always have a coach,
Exactly.
So I believe that, whichever profession you are, you must always have a coach, you always have a mentor, and no matter how big a personality you have become, No,
that was really lovely talk, sir. Thank you so much for giving us
Thank you, actually.
all of this information.
I'm so happy that in this young age, you are actually running such a wonderful company. You are really making a difference. And these are the things that actually our students should be exposed. and that's real learning. As I said, that there are a lot of things we need to do in education platform.
Right.
We have not even started.
Right.
We're just even not even crawling. It's just a newborn baby. The only difference is it's a baby elephant, so it takes a long time to grow.
Right.
It's not a baby human.
Exactly.
That's a problem with education. It takes a long time. But definitely, I'm extremely hopeful. I'm not a pessimistic person, so I feel that yes, with young people coming into education and contributing, there is going to be a sea change. But yes, if the educators are listening to me, the teachers listening to me, you must buckle up, because jobs are going to change. They're going to transform. So
yes,
you should learn. You should transform yourself. The schools, the principals, the teachers, everyone has to modify themselves, has to learn new things and unlearn and learn. It's not only learn, you should not have to
that is
unlearn
also
and
important.
learn.
Yes, unlearn and learn.
So that quality, and you teach that quality to your students, like these are 21st century kids, like who will be actually maybe witnessing 22nd century. And look at us, we belong to 20th century, it's some kind of funny thing, a 20th century person teaching a 21st century kid who maybe will be witnessing 22nd century. So
exactly.
So look at the gap of understanding. So if we don't unlearn and learn, then we will not just do justice to the teaching that we are trying to do to this 21st century kids, So we don't understand their mind. We don't understand how they think, what they want, what are their demands, and the whole world has changed, right?
Yes.
So if we don't change, if we don't, adapt with those kind of situation, we cannot become a good educator.
Right.
That's a key.
That is a very, very important to note. I hope all of you did learn something today from this podcast. And I really hope in future, because 15 minutes won't justify it. I get longer time to spend with you, get to know more about what all is happening in the world. And actually,
of course, because see, what we spoke is more theoretical. Now, it's when you go for a longer podcast, I can tell you the action points, but actually the how part of it.
Exactly.
We spoke about the why, because I always believe that that's the most important part, because if you don't understand the purpose, there is no point, But we can talk about the how part also. We talk about the action points, like what you have to do in ground level. Yes.
Right. Actionable item.
Actionable items.
Sure, definitely, sir. We'll do that. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for if you have learned even a single thing, you can drop a thank you to ma'am.
Thanks to you. Was actually sharing.
Please keep learning and keep your wonder alive.